And I know you love facings now. So this facing has a raw edge that has been turned under and then stitched. So this is that example of the turn and stitch, or the book seam, or what other name does it have? Clean finish. But because this is vintage, you know, they didn't just serge everything, because serging sort of was not always done. So what this is a facing that finishes, actually this is part of the front of the shirt. There's no seam there. Ours will have a seam. So what I did is I recopied the front torso and the back torso, and what I'm going to do on the shoulder seam is, I've already done it, so this is, I'll just pretend like I haven't done it. I'm measuring over 2 inches. This is from our textbook, Chapter 21, Shirt Facings and Band Variations. So I'm just creating a facing for the front, and you can just easily look in the book and see that it says 2.5 inches. Oh, it does, but then I looked there.
2 inches.
So this one that's on the top of the shirt, this piece is attached to that piece. So that's what this is. It's one continuous piece. So I'm doing the one below it in figure 2. So I'm measuring over on the shoulder seam 2 inches. And then measure around the neckline 2 inches. Because there's no armhole facing for this. And then at the bottom I measured 2.5 inches from the fold. So this is our edge, so this is 2.5. And I just measured 2.5. Actually, I just went like this and drew the line on. And then up at the top here, with your French curve, you can smooth it off. It doesn't have to be some sort of end, and it will look like this. And that then becomes your facing for this, because this collar gets created, pinned on. It's like the jacket. It's like the jacket, because because we did not do this in construction 1. You had a stand and a collar, and that is not this. We've done that. So this is another way of doing it, where it gets sandwiched in between the layers. So here's the collar and the facing, and it's in there. So it gets sandwiched in between the layers, and then the facing just gets folded inside, and you call it a day. So this now is my pattern piece for my front facing. And on the back, you just need the neckline. So I marked that out, and because that's 2 inches, I'm going to measure on the shoulder seam. This is without any seam allowance. 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches. And then with your French curve, just connect the dots. This seam allowance is going to be the same. You can use what you have seam allowance on, but please mark it so that you don't add more seam allowance to it, because if that had seam allowance on it and I went home and I forgot, I wouldn't know. So if you're going to use your pattern that you created earlier that has the seam allowance on it for this project, then just mark it out. No seam allowance at center back. And this becomes our back facing. So I'm just going to automatically put the grain line on. This is my grain line here. And that's it. So this is the back facing, and that's the front facing. And the collar gets sandwiched in between the facing and the torso block, and it's done.
Oh, it's not bad.
No.
It's gonna be light.
Chris, do you have a little packet of, maybe you don't have it here,